Alex, thank you. Let's welcome in the president of Strellmark LLC Business Development Consultants, Hillary Fordwich, and former Republican Congressman from Georgia, Jack Kingston. Welcome to you both. Hillary, your thoughts on the tariffs? You see positives to Trump using them to achieve fair trade, and do you think it's working?
Absolutely, because listen, Rick, and pleasure to be back with you again. A few things here. One of the things he needs to stick to and on messaging and the entire administration is reciprocity. You know, I actually obviously am doing a lot of global work, and I read and hear and talk to a lot of people in the UK. And you know, most of even the UK media actually declared that Trump has slapped a 10% tariff on the UK. Well, they have 10% tariffs on us. It's reciprocity. It's fair. So I think we need to stick our message about this being fair. This is not just one way. Think about the fact of what we have with the situation with Europe. Ursula von der Leyen, who, by the way, has never really been concerned about taxes, is actually amazing to hear her say that tariffs are a tax. Don't forget, this is why the EU was able to export 43.1 billion in terms of cars, export them to the US, and we only had 6.1 billion going into the EU. Why? Because they charge us a 10% tariff and we only charge 2.5%. It has been ridiculous. This was established after the Second World War when the US was helping the entire world to rebuild and reconstruct. But not since 1975 have we had a trade surplus. So in all those years, no American president has actually addressed this. I do think there is short-term pain for long-term wealth. And last but not least, I heard President Trump say the patient has come out safely from the operation. And I would say, yes, we went through the operation without anesthesia.
Yeah, and looking at dozens of countries now rushing to negotiate with the president. Congressman, the additional tariff that Trump is threatening on China could bring that total to as high as 70%, which is astonishing. Do you think it'll actually come to that? Or do you think that China will be among those countries that says, okay, hold on, let's talk about this?
Well, Rick, I think it will be one of the countries that says, hold on, let's talk about it. But we have to remember when we're talking particularly to China, it's not unique to China, but particularly to China, it's not just about a mathematical tariff. It's also about non-tariff barriers such as slave labor, such as intellectual property protection. It's about technological transfers into their ownership. So China gets an unfair trade advantage over us many different ways. So it's not just a matter of reciprocating on the trade tariff. And that's why we have to be very careful on a country-by-country basis. Vietnam, which is one of the first ones to the White House, they also are a platform for Chinese goods. And all of this has to be examined very carefully. I do like what Hillary's saying about the EU. They seem to be saying, okay, we get it. We have more in common with America than we do with China. Let's talk. Elon Musk said maybe we'll have a zero trade tariff with the EU. That could be very good because it would have the side effect of having a real strong national security alliance with them. Lots of good things that can come from this.
Yeah, I think people are starting to see that, Congressman. I do. Hillary, there's a focus now on prioritizing American companies and American manufacturing. Do you think that is also a key to revitalizing our economy in the long run?
Absolutely. And the congressman was totally right about what's happening with Europe. It's not only just, of course, the trade, it's also about national security. Think about what happened during COVID. We depended on China for everything that goes into our pharmaceuticals, also all of the safety, the face masks, etc. Goodness knows what would happen if we had any kind of global instability and any kind of warfare, which none of us want, but we need to have manufacturing here. 90,000 American companies have moved abroad. Manufacturing has been hollowed out, and our nation needs to be rebuilt, and it's reshoring. And last but not least, with regard to the corporate tax rate, when President Obama raised the corporate tax rate to 20%, countries like Ireland lowered it to 12%, which is why 997 American companies are headquarters there. We need to reshore manufacturing and also the headquarters of those companies.
Jack, I mentioned we've already seen movement from some of our most... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You can weigh in on that.
I wanted to underscore what Hillary's talking about with the corporate tax rates, because remember that the tariffs are only one leg of a economic table that has 4 legs. The other legs are the taxes, and that's going to happen, and less regulation, and then domestic energy production. And when you combine an economic platform sitting on those 4 very sturdy economic legs, great things are going to happen to America, and we are absolutely going to be in the global driver's seat when it comes to buying our goods and selling our goods.
Former Congressman Jack Kingston and Hillary Forwich, we got to leave it there. Thanks to both of you for joining the show.